Welcome back, guys, to the OPL, where we are 1-1 in Trident versus Hellions. It has been an incredibly close series thus far. And guys, heading into Game 3, it seems to me that two fairly reactive drafts have won each game. What are we looking at going into this one? Because my biggest change is, can you afford to go late game against Hellions again?
Yeah, look, I'm not sure. I think draft will play a big part. I think Hellions definitely have an advantage with the red side. We'll just have to see what happens.
I think it's the legacy theory, you know? It's like just get the better late game draft and bring it out there and just destroy them in the late game. I mean, this is what, when you were at Vanguard Ascension back in the day, I mean, that was your theory. Just understand that you can team fight better. That seems to be the aim of the game, because we saw Hellions, they were put to the test. They had the early lead, couldn't manage to close it out because it wasn't as far as game number 1, where it was honestly pretty ridiculous, and they had the heavily scaling comp anyway.
The thing is, though, with the game plan, I'm not sure Trident can out-team fight them late game. What we saw was a split push comp first, a team fighting comp, and late game, yeah, the team fighting comp won. But if Hellions drafts a team fighting comp, I'm not entirely sure Trident will win late game.
Yeah, it certainly was a big factor. One man we were very critical of coming into this week, and I think everyone has been Oceania-wide, is BMA. This time around, picked up the Lux, suffered in the laning phase, but credit where credit's due, came up huge in that late game.
I mean, that champion was just incredible against the short-range comp. I think he had 22 stacks on his Magi's by the end.
Taylor Swift.
And that's mostly because no one can actually get on him. He's so far back. The only person who could possibly kill him was a Fiora TP or a Rek'Sai like Flash on Burrow. Would love to see something long range like that. Not sure if Hellions will draft such a short range comp.
Yeah, and I actually really like BMA's positioning as well, because like you said, I mean, their only answer was to try and like get that flank off, but he never gave them that opportunity, always making sure that he was behind his tanks, always knew where everyone was, and was able to play that one out quite nicely. So of course, BMA scaling towards the late game, utilizing his zone control with that E, especially from the Lux, making things work, sieging down the turrets, making stuff happen. But we'll see whether he can actually get to that point, because that laning phase is still an issue.
Yeah, it certainly was rough, but, you know, Guy didn't die in laning phase. He took teleport into Ignite, was able to weather the storm, and his turret actually stayed up for majority of that game and became a big focal point in how they were controlling the map against the split pusher. So as I said, still not the perfect performance out of Beamer, but I think we've seen something that we maybe have been missing in the first couple of weeks. Want to visit the bottom lane as well, because game 1 we were fairly certain that, you know, that was in Hellions' favor and that they performed a little bit better under the jungle pressure. This time around, you think that maybe the game plan out of Trident was in the right direction?
Definitely. I think I said it in the pre-game. I said, if you're going to let them play Janna, don't focus the bottom lane, which is what they did. They lane swapped, so they took all focus away. But what I liked more than that was that they picked the Ezreal Trundle. So they said, okay, if you guys want to pick a Janna lane and sit back, that's fine by us. We're going to pick something that scales harder because we know you're going to give us a free lane.
Yeah, certainly does become a focal point, though, if Hellions can play a kill lane in response, lane that could be picked on a little bit. And I feel like one person, you know, we've given a lot of credit to Trident stepping up tonight. Seems that their jungler hasn't had the performance that we were really looking for. 2 Graves games, a little bit of a questionable build game 2. Impaired just seems to be, I don't know, off. This is a person that we've talked about a lot. Subbed in for Legacy last year, had some great performances on the likes of Echo. This time around just doesn't seem like himself.
Yeah, I don't like Impaired on the Graves right now. I mean, I don't think that champion is what his team needs. I don't think his team doesn't need another person who's going to sit back and farm. His team needs someone who's going to make some plays, and I would love to see Impaired on the Nidalee or on a Rek'Sai, take it away from Cookie maybe, but I don't think Graves is the way here.
Yeah, of course, Nidalee and Elise were sort of target banned from Impaired, but the thing that I find weird about sort of target banning Impaired is the fact that he plays so many different champions. I mean, he doesn't have to feel like he has to pick up this Graves because it's considered such a strong pick in the meta. Picking away that Rek'Sai, like you mentioned, is just, I feel like, so important against Cookie.
I mean, I don't know if he has that many champions. I mean, either that or he thinks Graves is very, very OP, because Game 1, lackluster performance on Graves. He knows that. You always know as a player. Game 2, same thing again. If they do the Nidalee Elise ban again, I honestly think he might pick Graves again. I mean, I don't want him to, but I can see him doing that. And that leads me to believe that maybe his pool isn't as deep as we thought.
Yeah, it certainly could be an issue here. And the other thing it does, and the person that we're going to put a lot of focus on, is Ryu. He seems to have gotten 2 free laning phases in a lane swap. He was up 30 CS at one point with like 50 to 25, I think it was. So it was about the 25 mark. And then in game 1, on Gangplank, just able to go even in lane meant that whenever you're even as Gangplank, you're very far ahead. is this the person for Hellions that they're finally waiting for? Like, get him off the split pusher, just get him on full team fight mode, let the guy carry.
I mean, he can split push. We've seen that. He does know how to. I just don't think that his team assists him in that.
All right, guys, I want to get your prediction. This is 1-1. I think they're actually a lot closer than we thought. Atlas, money where mouth is. Who is going to win this game?
I think that Hellions are going to figure it out. They're going to go for a little bit more of that team-focused team comp and bring it out in game number 3.
Tim, what are you thinking?
I'm not so confident they will figure it out. We've seen the split push a lot. I mean, they won a game and they still didn't learn that team fighting was the way. So I think Trident 2-1.
There you go. Split Deso. I want to hear from you guys at home. Use that hashtag IamOPL for something useful tonight and let me know who you think is going to win this game number 3. Here we go. At pastry time, and Rusty, you're ready, so let's get into game.
This is what happens when you cut the beard off, Spawn. Your head goes crazy and you call me Atlas. We are here, though, for game number 3, and this should be a fun one. Don't forget, we have another best of 3 after this with Avant taking on Chase, but before that, Rusty, game 3, Trident Hellions.
I did think that having a Gandalf build would make him a little bit
I
wiser,
know.
but he just doesn't seem to get the names right every single time. Of course, we are now in Champion Select for this particular game, and the desk mentioned a lot of things that need to be addressed and potentially not fixed, but worked towards from both of these teams. Trident know how they can win the game now. They've proven that in that second one. Teamfight, just make it so that you can scale and teamfight better than your opposition and execute on that. Hellions, they've worked out that they can split push effectively, that they find advantages through lane swaps and towers that they take down to unlock that split pushing, but they never consolidate that any further. The rest of the team doesn't help him as Carbon mentioned.
Yeah, I feel like we've definitely seen hits and misses from the two teams as they've split the first 2 games. With that, let's look at the draft here for game 3. Trident Hellions one more time tonight as Rise and Italy once again will just see bans.
Yeah, so Rise and Italy, no surprises across the board. That might be a small one.
That's a Z ban, so a bomb ban, but very specific there. Almost feels like they have a champion they really want to play that they don't want Z for.
Lux.
Yeah?
Why not? Lux is the defining factor of that particular game. Without the Baron Steel, without the picks, long-range champion. Oriana's not as long-range. Twisted Fate's not as long-range. These champions the BMA plays, Lux is a little bit different and much more defined in the way that it works. So maybe they're banning the Z on the knowledge that they don't want to pick a bad matchup or something that's dangerous for the Lux.
Well, we'll have to see as Poppy does get banned again by Hellions, so keeping things simple there as far as their ban structure goes. Trident now do have to consider they're on the blue side, they'll get first pick, and they'll take away the gangplank.
Yeah, smartly so, taking away that GP. Leaving still, of course, the Fiora and many other options available for Ryu. Haven't seen Bomb play that champion just yet, so Hellions, they've got lots of options and just really strong target bans here from Trident, besides the Z, which is the anomaly.
Yep, definitely see Trident adjusting a little bit here, but for the most part, bans are the same for both teams here, and history indicates that Hellions will likely ban Elise here, and they do, taking their while to do so, but Impaired again could be forced onto the Graves, but most obviously, we've seen that, I believe in a few games already, it seems like Lulu's open.
Lulu's definitely open, and we saw how Bomb can kind of bully BMA around in that matchup, but there's a period of time where you're thinking about this draft phase, why not just pick the Rek'Sai yourself?
Yep.
Force them to go back onto the Lulu, and then just pick the Lux again, because you scale.
Well, Corky's open as well. That's maybe what Trident are considering here. Was banned in game number 2, and a great performance from Frey in game 1. But Trident do intelligently take that away, but I have to think that's Edition's champion.
Yeah, you would have to assume so. I'd be surprised if Hellions put emphasis on this champion. You know, Cookie can play aggressive. He is by nature, so it would suit him. Of course, wouldn't be surprised if they just lock in the Janna with it.
Yeah.
Keep that in mind, Daniel.
I just almost feel like they'd rather have the Rek'Sai. As Fiora actually gets locked in again, they will take the Graves. But now Impaired has to play something different, and that almost feels like a benefit.
It almost does. Almost. We don't know what he's capable of playing just yet. Carbon, again, he said it. We haven't seen him play much else so far. So bring back the Rek'Sai. It was lackluster the last time we saw it from Impaired. Can't really carry as hard, just unlocks the rest of his team to carry. And that's always been the biggest issue with Trident's roster, is who can step up and be that massive hyper carry. And if that's what they go for, then they run the risk.
Yeah, they're going to have to put hands back in the solo laners here, possibly with BMA and Pac-Man, but right now they are going to take Trundle again. I imagine that support, given that Jakey did have a good game on it. Just passed, but Impaired is considering this Rek'Sai. He can pick something else later. He already knows the matchup. I feel like when you pick this matchup, you want to contain Graves, and Impaired is a player that likes to get aggressive, not be reactive.
Yeah, absolutely. And if he were to go for this, they should absolutely be containing this Graves. Cookie can kind of run rampant with his vision and just being overly aggressive in random situations. So we'll see if Impaired can do that.
Yep, and they do take the Rek'Sai. So Rek'Sai Graves this time reversed, with Cookie taking the Graves for Hellions this time around. And once again, such an early Fiora pick for me. We've seen 2 tanks from Pac-Man. He might play another one, and I agree with Ryu that the matchups look good there. But John Lucian, before we get to that point, insta-picks pretty much from Hellions.
This is so unusual. Hellion's drafting just perplexes me endlessly. They get early Fiora, sure. Defining feature is they're going to continue to split push now. They're going to work around what worked for them in that last game. But the response is the Janna Lucian again. I think the biggest factor that changes everything is they have the Graves for added wave clear. So it's very difficult to actually start to siege that. But they're both low range AD carries. So if they were to pick a champion like Lux again, you can kill them quite easily.
Yep, we heard it again from Carvin. The short-range comp, not particularly good against the Malphite Lux, and that's exactly what Trident are hovering here. There's the Lux locked in. They'll go back to the Malphite. In fact, one change. It's the Graves, and not a huge change there for Impaired.
Okay, so we're missing a mid laner here, the Hellions. And we know that Ryu is going to split push, and we know that we've got 2 low-ranged ADs with the Janna, so you can't 1-3-1, which means whatever mid laner they choose to pick here better be really good at wave clearing from distance. Just go Xerath. Just do it.
Just do it. Lock it in.
Yeah, Ziggs. Why not? Like, that's actually what you need or you'll lose.
Well, we'll have to see what Hellions do dig out here. 25 seconds left for them to determine their final pick. No, I just want it now. I want it so bad. Why would you do this to me?
Oh,
No, it's Cassidy again. I mean, matchup's okay.
Yeah, it's
Relatively split. Bomb will get his farm. We know he can scale and play the champion well, but Hellions, I think, looking maybe for a bit more team fight, but you said it already. Lux Malphite kind of tricky to team fight into.
We've just seen 2 hard commits into their own defined styles. So what worked in game 1 for Hellions, they've got the 1-3-1. They can split push, and then they just try and clear mid. Trident, what worked in game 2, team fighting, just going in, pressing that Malphite R button, finding a pick from BMA on this Lux, and just controlling the map once it hits 30 minutes. And honestly, by locking in that Cassidy, they've 100% gone into 2 conflicting styles, and it does still come down to execution.
Well, we did see that Hellions were able to get 2 different early leads in both games here, but couldn't quite close it out on game 2. I guess we'll have to see, especially if they get an early lead again, what have they learned here? Because as is the wonderful thing with best of series is, you see adjustment game to game. And funnily enough, haven't seen too much here as far as the draft goes, but we'll see if the style and the execution changes.
I do think that the style should 100% change here. Hellions, they will commit much more into the split pushing, you would have to wager. Cassinon's also quite good into the Corki once they get going. In comparison to the first game, there was a lot less magic damage in any split push options, and I feel like this isn't a bad thing for Hellions by any means. I'm just very scared for them given what they're up against.
Well, we'll have to find out as we are going to move into our final game. Don't forget your hashtags here for game number 3 is hashtag TRI win for Trident, hashtag HLN win, depending on if you think Trident or Hellions, pretty much which analyst you agree with on the desk is going to take that. And of course, don't forget I am OPL, and don't, most importantly, forget, use the hashtag for good. Send us spawn beard photos.
Because everything's good. Let's be fair. It's just great if you send us spawn bits.
That's true. It is even better here as we are onto the Rift for game number 3. Hellions will move out of their base for the final time tonight. Trident will do the same. Everyone's just going to fan out. Nobody wants to take too many risks in a final game here.
No, and no reason to. Let's be fair. The real question is always going to be, do they last minute decide to execute for a lane swap?
And there's Santa Spawn.
30 seconds until minions spawn.
That is excellent.
I just love that they worked around the headset as well. Like it stays on.
Oh,
Just-
they changed his glasses to Santa glasses.
Yeah,
that is
really
that is top notch.
That's amazing. That's so good. Thank you, aptly named Nick Laws.
Good stuff there. As we do see, once again, a pretty neutral start for both sides, but BMA has actually changed things up. Aliens are back to double TP. But I like this from BMA. A little bit of sassiness, perhaps. Ignite is his summoner spell of choice.
Oh.
Instead of teleport this time.
Yeah, no, I know.
Yeah.
It's
Not sure about
You know
it?
what? We'll go with sassiness.
Yep.
Yeah, it's definitely sassy. I feel like it indicates that he's going to be aggressive in laning phase, as Ignite should always do. Can he kill a Cassidy?
That is a great question. And you know what? We'll find out later. As BMA and Bomb will take to the 1v1 one more time here. No lane swaps this time. by the looks of things. Everyone going to actually break back out the standard lanes. And Cookie, starting up here on the Krogs, is going to clear things out. Impaired on Rek'Sai. Be interesting to see how these junglers played their reverse matchups. Because it definitely feels like Cookie did a good job containing Impaired on the Rek'Sai versus Graves in the first 2 games. We'll see if Impaired can get maybe more aggressive with the Rek'Sai, or if he can make sure Cookie doesn't get unleashed from that jungle.
Yeah, he definitely did a good job, Cookie. I'm not sure if Impaired has what it takes to try and keep down this Graves. Hyper-aggression when he chooses to be, I think, is the way to describe Cookie. And this mid lane's already looking a little bit dangerous for Bomb.
Yep, Cassidy does kind of want to get those levels in. He's just going to last hit as best he can. BMA playing nice, up and aggressive. We saw this in the Victor versus Cassidy matchup in Game 1, so a little bit of similarity going on there.
Here's the funny thing, right? If Bomb makes it to 450 gold, maybe 500, work towards that pink ward on top of it, it's got a null magic mantle, teleport back to lane, and Beamer can't kill you. So the Ignite may not pay off for lane phase.
May not. We'll see if Impaired maybe takes a visit, but right now he's busy clearing the Scuttle Crab. We'll take it down. Cookie though onto that blue buff. Clearing through that jungle on the Graves. He's actually a little bit behind on experience, but we'll catch up relatively quickly. It seems like Impaired's flying through the jungle right now.
Yeah, Impaired's going to be quite fast. You have to remember the wave clear from both of these guys. It just comes down to their pathing and choice of rotations around the map.
Good damage there from Beamer. Actually going to maybe force Bomb back here, like you already said. Null-Magic Mantle will patch up a lot of these early problems. BMA looks for a binding, does not find it.
Cookie's here though.
Here's Cookie, does have the red buff. End of the line's not bad. Bomb's going to jump in for it. BMA does use the Ignite, but Cookie claims first blood.
Ridiculous. Beamer hyper-aggressive.
Now Addition actually in trouble. Exhaust down from Jakey's good. The Phosphorus Bomb maybe going to turn things around. Heal pop there for Frey. Jakey actually doing massive damage on the Trundle. And Frey went too far for that trade. Lost a lot of his life there.
Overcommitting to the trade actually backfires for Frey, but we are going to see what happened in this middle lane. Cookie getting the absolute flank here, and Bomb using that flash to ensure he gets as much damage off as possible. And they take down Beamer for his over-aggression, who now has no Ignite, no flash, and is a Lux against the Cassidy with a Negatron.
Yep, double drones there for BMA, but the Negatron is the answer here for Bomb. Going to be nice and safe here in the mid lane, and Summoner's down pretty much everywhere. Is Impaired looking through this jungle side now.
That's like already the major difference between Cookie and Impaired is Cookie just comes mid. He just ganks it. Beamer's being over-aggressive and used his Q to try and bind Cassidy under the turret. Hello.
Oh, Frey knocked up there. Does actually flash back towards his turret, but Impaired. Nice gank there. I do like to see him changing it up.
Absolutely. This bottom lane was being very aggressive. They burnt some summoners earlier. Most importantly, the heal from Frey. So they do force the flash, and that's now 0 available for this Lucian. If he comes back one more time, there's a real kill threat.
Yeah, actually Cookie's back here again. BMA has no summoners this time, and the damage is there. The slow lands in as well. Very creative end of the line, and it's enough. He flashes in for the last auto. TP down from Pac-Man. Impaired actually going to knock up Bomb though, who doesn't have summoners left. Pac-Man going to flash over the wall. Looks like they will pick up the trade here. Impaired going to get it.
Yeah, Impaired's going to get that. Actually using the flash Pac-Man to ensure he has some kind of involvement after already making all of that way down with the teleport. Can't get nothing for it. And, I mean, honestly, they still got a trade in response.
Yeah, well played there from Hellions, although Trident are able to answer the trade back. But you said it already, it just feels like Cookie's pressure has been so smart, and BMA is playing far too aggressive.
He absolutely is. And it's not that he can't, it's that he has to, honestly, because he's against this Cassidy matchup. And you want to try and keep Cassidy down. And smartly so, the pressure has been there from Cookie to ensure that Bomb isn't kept down. Just means that Impaired, focusing the wrong lane by even ganking bottom instead of being around mid, keeping BMA alive.
We saw this a bit from Impaired in the first game as well. Did come mid once as Graves, did get a flash, but then went bottom lane, tried to get that lane snowballing instead. We've seen the addition of Jakey. Corky Trundle seems perfectly safe here. Impaired did get a flash out of that bottom lane presence, but he knows where Cookie is going. I feel like Impaired should just be following him.
Yeah, absolutely. Impaired should be stalking this Graves around. It's the major difference, and we had to question it coming into Champ Select. Can Impaired keep Cookie away? Because if we look at the carries once again from both of these teams, it is Impaired and it is Bomb.
Well, Impaired on a bit more of a utility-style jungler here. Bomb starting to get a bit more aggressive. Does need a binding for his trouble, but we'll be okay.
Still level 5 BMA. Denied a lot of experiences. Honestly, Bomb's already halfway to 7. So, not a comfortable spot to be in if you were Lux right now. Still equal farm.
Yep, BMA keeping up there this time, but Bomb happy to be even with a couple of assists in his pocket at this particular point. As Addition continuing to farm up on the Corki. Does have a Sheen now, so pretty aggressive choice there as Jakey is going to come in. Phosphorus Bomb not quite there. Denny will force Corki out of the way, but Jakey is just really annoying.
Yeah, these aren't 1v1s that you want to fight on two fronts here if you were Danian and Frey. You want to pick a single target, utilize the Janna shield, and then poke that target down. The fact that Jakey can just run at Lucian, has Grasp of the Undying, and just auto-attack him down, I mean, you actually effectively lose that trade.
And I like what Cookie has done here, continuing to sort of really, in some instances, annoy Beam his lane and keep the mid lane in trouble. So he's going to go back in again. No flash, but no dive. Cookie, though, did steal the blue buff away. Should be very frustrating for Triton's mid laner.
Absolutely is, and even right now has no mana. Can't stay in this lane. It's going to pop star his way to base. Or not.
That was somewhat anticlimactic, but also good. As Bomb pushing in a little too aggressively does force BMA to stay, which
the
again...
flank though as well.
How did they get in these brushes?
No, he's dead.
Yeah, Frey in trouble. Good. A tornado actually might keep him alive, but now Denian's going to be the target. Rockets in. Boss Bomb down. Good pillar. That's going to force the flash out of the Janna.
Using your E to last hit as Lucian is not a good decision. They do force a free summoner one more time. Just not enough damage on the side of Trident to actually take down their opponents in a 2v2. They'll be very happy with that though.
Well, if we check in with top lane, looks like Ryu's off to a pretty nice start here in the lane. Teammate finished up already. Does parry the E there.
He's so aggressive on this Fiora.
Yes.
Taking every single trade possible.
Well, you can see a tweet here. I want to see Trident Esports win this, but they're going to have to do a lot to earn it. There from Blue Pandatron. Couldn't agree more. I think whichever team takes this last game will certainly have to earn it, because it has been quite a wild ride here for tonight's first best of 3.
Absolutely has been, and I think, yeah, a lot of earning to be done, and an interesting start here to really cement this. I feel like we've seen it time and again. Small advantages now forged for Helion in the way of gold. But can they turn it into something this time, or will Trident bring it back one more time?
Well, 1400 up now for Hellions. Blue buff over to Bomb. Means that BMA doesn't have one to potentially steal. It does feel like Hellions are going to trust a bit more in the scaling, but we saw the team fight combo from Trident in the second game. Have the Lux Malphite once again. And just in general, the games have been relatively slow paced here in this best of 3. We thought initially that would favor Hellions, but Trident did show us that they're able to execute this team comp. So I think either team would benefit from being a bit more aggressive, but don't want to get over-aggressive either. The Addition, play with the package. Good disengage there, but a flash on both from Impaired. Ulti on to Denian there from the Lux, and the Rockets are keep coming in. Addition moves forward. He will get the kill. Now onto Frey, but Bomb actually going to try and play cleanup. He gets ultied up by the Trundle. Frey still firing shots in on the Lucian. TP in from Pac-Man. A little too aggressive,
Ryu's
perhaps.
below them, though. That's why he teleported in. And Trident, they actually managed to walk away. Which, I mean, that's actually really good for them, all things considered. If they get this dragon, then it's a massive win. If not, then they did just kill a support for essentially a lot of everything.
Yeah, resources burnt there, but only one kill to speak of for it. It feels like Hellions more than happy to keep taking this out. It was Pac-Man. It's going to assist BMA.
What do you mean assist? That was a battle.
Well, BMA won most of it, but I'm going to see the recall once again. I think it will be completed this time. Much better. Here we go.
Nice.
Esmeralda Nomicon is the first item, by the way, that Lux will be collecting. So BMA, same build here by the looks of things. And could be Bissell for Bomb, could be Rod of Ages, depending on how he's feeling. But Cassidy will be just fine here in the lane. And again, the Hellion scaling. We've seen a little bit of volatility in some of these lanes, but for the most part, these two teams happy to sort of take it to 25 minutes and see what happens from there.
Yeah, pretty much. They just wanted to go to later in the game. Cookie in bed, just saying hello again.
I like Cookie's pressure here, but may actually be caught out now. Ulti there, will flash it. But Pac-Man happy to make that trade.
We'll see how happy he is, though, when Ryu starts to beat down on him in the laning phase. Knowing that there's no ultimate available. Honestly, Cookie could change his attention to this top lane now.
Well, he's going to take out the Scuttle Crab. Not going to quite walk topside, though. Just going to check in on mid. With BMA playing a little further back now after his over-aggression in the early game. Pac-Man still just taking what he can here, but Ryu again launching ahead in CS series. 30 up or so. And that Hydra's going to be up very soon. We've seen that in the matchup, Fiora absolutely can take it to Malphite. It's just a matter of how far can Ryu carry the split push this time.
Yeah, and control. Very controlled build from Pac-Man in particular. Has his Iceborne Gauntlet of all items, the first one up. And these two are still going at it.
Yeah, Jakey actually in trouble. Doesn't need the Tornado, but eats the culling in addition. Like, uh-oh. Maybe I ate too much as well. Frey going to move in for it, but he can't get the last auto
He had
in.
Flash.
And he, didn't have heal, sorry, but did have flash as BMA going to face Jacob Cassidy and he's being chased by Ryu, and Bomb's just going to chase him down. The fight did start over the blue buff, but I'm pretty sure Graves got that as well.
Yeah, Helions, they're just finding advantages for no particular reason across the entire map. Bottom lane just hits a culling, takes down Jake. They find a pick near the blue buff, and they knew Malphite ultimate wasn't available. So Trident probably not wanting to fight that one. Do get side-swiped, essentially, and taken out by Bomb on this Kassadin with a Graves ult to boot. There's honestly, it's a lot of damage. Even predicting the flash, essentially. Using it with immediate reactions.
And bottom lane turret falls here as well. Hellions, I like this a little bit more aggressive in the early game. Just making the smart plays, building up a nice little gold lead.
Just feels like it was laning aggression as well. Like, they haven't actually really broken laning phase besides that one blue buff invade. And that was smartly so as well because of the Malphite ultimate. But like realistically, this bottom lane winning like that, kind of just getting a free kill out of thin air, then getting the turret, just doesn't really make sense. They just mechanically outplayed their opponents.
Yeah, and Hellions have definitely shown some of that brilliance we have expected. I have to say, Cookie's pressure has been great this game on the Graves. Almost feels like, I mean, it is really two different junglers playing the champion, but Cookie able to do exactly what you want to do with Graves and just aggressively invade. 20 CS ahead as well of Impaired, who's not been able to contain him just yet.
Is actually really good for Helions where they are set up right now. BMA would be in a side lane without a teleport as their primary source of pick in the, as it has been coined many times, Oceanic ARAM style of play. If Bomb stays down here, he can start to siege this. But now the Beam is grouped, I actually start to favor Trident more.
Bomb does have his teleport. Ryu's actually mid lane right now. Looks like he got the top lane started, perhaps.
They have to culling, though, for this wave.
Yep. And there is Frey going to use it. Channel Shield on top of him as well. Jake, you're not quite able to get the pillar down.
But this is where the real game begins. They don't have culling. Their wave clears very low range. And if Trident want to continue to siege this, how do they actually stop it if you were Helions?
Well, you can see another great I'm a cutie pal style beard there. Lovely stuff.
Pie.
Spawn pie. Shoku starting to break the spawn beard metagame.
Yeah, that was that's all in. I like it though.
I like it a lot.
Hope Spawn's the one voting on this as well.
Oh yeah, I hope so too.
Then again, he probably wouldn't have a single winner.
True. We can't have that.
The winner is the one that says has no beard.
I think I'm the winner at this point. This has been fantastic.
Yeah, exactly. I think we all win.
Hellions are grouping in for the Dragon. They will be able to take it out. Impaired in the area, but not going to entertain a steal. Cookie, no smite, no problems. Just going to take it out. Although Trident are looking to get aggressive here in mid. Frey doesn't have his ulti back up. BMA again looking for the binding. Does land it, but doesn't follow up with the rest of the poke. Cookie now here as well for some wave clear, and Bomb is staying down bottom side. He's not even really pushing, he's just farming right now.
Yeah, doesn't need to push really. He's just looking towards level 11 where he can start to make picks with that ultimate, catch and chase people down more effectively. Also considering that Pac-Man's build immediately changed after the Iceborne Gauntlet, going for magic resistance, looking to combat and deal with this split push from Bomb. So I feel like being able to split push as he is and then immediately rotating the group again could benefit them to some extent.
Well, Beamer used his ulti, so that's decent damage there on the mid lane turret from Hellions. We'll see if they can continue this pressure here. Beamer again, no TP this time as Bomb sticking down here, but he's going to get forced back, it looks like.
I don't actually think he's even forced back. He has an Abyssal Scepter, so he's actually well equipped to deal with a Malphite or Lux at this point in the game. Even Corki, that Abyssal Scepter pickup is massive for him. And once that rod is done, I don't know if anyone can actually deal with him.
Well, there is the Catalyst completed, so Bomb is almost there on that Rod of Ages. Will get delayed, of course, because had to build the Abyssal first for lane, but smart choices in general here for Bomb and his build. Rod of Ages should be just fine here, even though it will be a touch late. BMA, though, back in mid lane. Melonomicon done. Had that off from a while ago, I think. There's an Amp Tome here as well, so likely the same Ludens build we saw from Game 2.
Yeah.
But Hellions are more than happy to play the ARAM, it seems like. Just
it feels
continuing
like
to wave
it.
clear.
Yeah, I guess they feel content with it at the moment. I think the saving grace of why they actually feel content is because BMA is 0-3. His damage isn't that crazy at the moment. He can't actually burst anybody out, which is what we were seeing from him in that matchup against the Lulu. We just hit the Q, just ult the Lulu, push him out of lane, then start to siege and take everything down. Instead, Hellions have control in this middle lane. They're the ones putting it into effect, which means it's free on them to rotate top and bottom, try and make picks whenever they feel comfortable doing so, or just establish CS advantages.
Yep, and what they're doing right now is just taking those 2 teleports and continuing to accrue farm here. Bomb is spotted, but he's just pushing these waves down, and somebody has to answer them. No kill threat just yet, you have to think. Both Fiora and Kassadin still farming up, but damage is being done to these turrets. And Bomb's items will come up soon, and at some point, it won't just be annoying farm that Hellions are getting. It'll be your structures or your life.
Yeah, absolutely. And this mid lane structure is starting to get threatened, as is the bottom turret at half of its health also. Hellions, they're starting to mount up towards this moment. The question is when they pull the trigger. BMA not being level 11 is actually a pretty big deal also. That ultimate cooldown and damage just not there yet.
Yep.
And these two sharing a lane is honestly hurting them above all else.
Yeah, they both want the experience. Frey going to pop the culling. BMA going to eat a pretty big chunk of it, actually. But Bomb still playing into Impaired now, who actually is one of the better people to answer some of these pushes. Does have the Rek'Sai ultimate available. But Bomb, he'll just collect the CS at this point. He's still ahead of Beamer in CS. Just all the time in the world for Hellions, and that's a scary thing.
It really is. The top lane turret is probably the one that's just inevitably going to go down with this mid lane one. And it's just that easy. It's a bleed out right now.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's smart from Hellions. Deny the blue buffs. BMA just doesn't have enough mana to sustain this sort of siege, and Hellions eventually are able to break it. All of a sudden, they take the crucial mid lane turret. They're 2 turrets up to nothing here. And actually a pretty good gold lead, about 5k.
Yeah, again, we have to remember, this is the gold lead that we saw in that last game, where Trident started to team fight, started to find their strengths in their team composition, group up and take these objectives, and start to poke and siege. Pac-Man being here is a good indicator that they're trying to look confident and take this mid lane turret. So is top though.
Yep, have to agree though. This is a very important point in the game. Mid lane turret will be answered by Trident, so a good group there. Ryu is working on top, but it seems like the plans we expected are the ones we're going to get here. It seems like Ryu's going to keep split pushing. Bomb's likely going to go down there as well. Try and form a 1-3-1, but Trident know they have to group to stop this.
Bomb's also pinged this, and he knows that multiple members will come towards this bottom lane. No reason for them to go top just yet. There was already a minion stack building. And Hellions, being given all of this notice, have now started to work their way towards Beamer.
And they're actually going, towards Beamer. He does get chunked a bit, but Hellions is sending people top lane to help Ryu. They're going to sack this bottom outer turret.
This is so good.
And Pat's like, all right, I guess I have to go. Pac-Man's going to go in as well. Turret is going to die, actually. Pac-Man, I think, had to cancel that TP. So another turret trade, but this time it's Hellions, as Bomb's going to chase them down. Just try and deny those recalls for as long as possible. Massive 3-man force pulse, but he eats so much damage on the other end of it. Jakey going to move in for it. Addition now going to fire away as Cookie able to kite himself away. Bomb will live. Cookie no ulti. But Trident just getting run around.
Yeah, and again, the difference between the second game and this third game is that BMA does not do enough damage yet. An Abyssal Scepter picked up for this Kassadin, who is very hard to kill when he has the Q on. Kind of the difference between this and the Lulu at the moment. The mobility keeping him alive to get out.
Yep.
And, like...
Rotovator's just done as well as... There's an absolutely...
Gangplank?
I think so. It's a cracker of a beard. From there was nothing.
Gragas.
It's Gragas. How did we miss that?
I just saw the gangplank.
I did
I was
see it
like,
in there
why
as-
did I just attribute that to gangplank?
I don't
Because
know.
I saw him. I don't even
Look,
know.
it's okay.
Oh, it's not, because Spawn doesn't have one.
I agree with that. Agree with that. As Hellions grouping back around Dragon, which is back available. But again, all the teleports up. Everyone getting stronger. Hydra done. Black Cleaver on the way for Ryu. SM2 rapid fire cannon for Frey. And that Rod Evaders that definitely helped Bomb stay alive in that last little exchange. Package there for addition though. Rapid fire cannon not quite there yet, but strength here for Trident. And they are just going to muscle their way into this Dragon.
Meanwhile, top lane split pushing. We do see Ryu kind of just playing around a lack of vision at the moment. If he did see them, I would no doubt. He's just teleporting in.
Yeah, he's going back for a flank, I think. Looks like they want to make a play. Where is Ryu? He's hiding.
Oh, is that?
Well, didn't have a deep enough ward, I guess.
Not sure what that was.
Well, Pac-Man doesn't have his TP, but Ryu, bit of an overreach perhaps on that play. Hellions might be able to go bottom lane as 5 and try and siege while Pac-Man's busy topside, but
Oh, yeah. No, they absolutely can. There's no teleport available for this Malphite. He has to walk. But against the Lux, the wave clear and the burst that can come out of that, what was the plan actually to be there?
well, I do like the potential to group there for a fight, but execution not quite there for Hellions. Frey busy mid lane instead. And now kind of an advantage lost there for Ryu. He needs that TP to really threaten with the split pushes. Now it's only Bomb with that teleport available.
That was actually quite close for Frey. He didn't have his Relentless Pursuit available, so could have forced a flash from Pac-Man. Didn't actually do it, and here we go. Rinse and repeat.
I mean, no surprise that we're seeing this exact setup. This is the game plans we expected. Hellions are just going to keep split pushing, feels like until the end of time. And Trident just need to find a fight. They do need to scale up a bit more, like you mentioned. They are behind in gold, and they don't quite have the same power they did at the end of Game 2 with everyone really scaled up in items. But they'll get there eventually. So Hellions, I think, know that this game is somewhat on a timer. Need to make sure they cleanly execute this split push. But more importantly, almost win the game in time.
Yeah, I feel like the time is evidently still there. Bomb.
Wow.
Wow.
Pac-Man actually going to force him out. Going to follow in with the ulti. Malphite Cassidy solo kill perhaps as Bomb is going to get follow flashed on. And Pac-Man wins the 1v1.
What is Malphite? What? How does he manage this? Bomb. You're a Cassidy. How'd you die?
Well, it's not good news regardless. Ryu may be able to get out there as Addition's firing away. Doesn't get knocked up by the Rek'Sai, but happy to chase Addition. Almost claims Ryu's life as Cookie's here as well. I would not face Jacob Corky. But Frey's here in support.
Cookie's feeling quite confident. He's a full AD Graves, so able to duke it out with Trident. Pretty much all of them.
Frey chasing BMA. Not going to hit the binding impaired here though. Does get tornadoed up. Doesn't quite find the Unburrow. Jakey there with the pillar. Ulti, good poke. And Pellion's going to be forced off this top out. Impaired goes in for a binding, lands on the Cookie. And the Corky already taken out by Cookie on the other side, though. Impaired now taking too much damage. Will die to Frey as Bomb's back in for it. And this is a field day for Cassidy. But he does get exhausted. Frey going to get the double. Bomb still going to move in as that's going to be another one. Cookie able to take out the Malphite. Tried an overreach on this play. Might even get aces. Ryu still in pursuit. Doesn't quite get
Baron.
it. But that's a mistake then from Trident as Hellion moves towards the Baron.
Absolutely a mistake. This team fighting composition that Hellions now have around skirmish scenarios favors them entirely in that fight. An aggressive dive from Trident to no avail as Bomb needs to be careful and he gets out.
He's out. Baron Hellions. And all of a sudden, Gold leaps ahead at this point in the game. 8k up now.
It's amazing. We just saw entirely what Trident are capable of doing. Work around the Trundle Pillar, hit a big ultimate on 2 members, and this looks great. Another binding connects after the knockup. And honestly, you're looking at this, like Hellions are dead. Janna uses the ultimate, keeps them all healthy, and Impaired dies. Bomb. He's teleported in. He doesn't have Ignite this game. He's running a more utility-based summoner spell. Gets into the fight and bam. Just like that. The team composition that Trident put together that was out-fighting that of Hellions, even with a 5k gold deficit, is now being out-team fought because Bomb's got a Cassidy with a teleport.
And a huge play there from Hellion gives them a massive lead in this game. Blue Buff going to go back over to the Cassidy, and Hellions, we talked about it, they've got their lead. What do they do with it? It does seem like we are going to go back to this split push layout as, oh my god. Hellions Esports doing work.
Helion's Beard Sports.
Led by Spawned Off the Wires.
It's just that's the best.
That might be it.
That was actually by Helion.
Yeah, which is awesome. Good to see the team having fun. But do have a game to play, so I certainly hope it's not them posting it.
You know what you need? Legged tree.
Legged Tree Beard Sports?
Yeah, tree beard. Make spawn an ent.
Ah.
Oh.
There you go. For of you out there on the Twitterverse, hope you heard that. The Hellions right now, all beards aside, do have work to do here in this particular game. Seeding aggressively though, I like this a lot. Edition just eats an ulti from Graves. That's going to be mid-tier 2 falling. 5-2 up in turrets now for Hellions with Bomb, I believe, working on number 6.
Absolutely, of course. Top lane, unrelenting. Bottom lane, not going to stop his push. Beamer is low. And this Helion side with the Baron buff is near unstoppable.
They're just so far ahead. Great ult from Ryu. Gets out of it. Imped's going to die almost off the end of it. Carling barely reaches or doesn't reach. And Jakey's just going forward. Don't do it, you'll die. He does die to Denian as the Zephyr's going to take him out. Hellions just far too strong at this point in the game.
And this is, again, they're overreaching, overcommitting. Pac-Man has to deal with this Kassadin split pushing. And this is the biggest difference and why Helions feel so much more refined. They have 2 teleport options. One of them can deal with a Malphite.
Yep, but still able to group when it counts and capitalize on the mistakes of Trident. That one top lane fight might be all they needed to snowball the game to this point. They are unbelievably far ahead in gold. They are going to have to back out now. Edition does have the package, but he's not going to get to use it. And Trident just have to move out and take whatever they can. Their base is almost in ruin.
They have the 2 big items now for BMA. That's a major factor in these picks that their composition is available to do. And honestly, Trident, they should just go mid. Just brute force their way through mid and just all or nothing. There is a 12k gold deficit for these guys right now, and they have a team composition that is entirely capable of trying to siege, capitalizing on these low-range AD carries. That's something they should have been doing earlier, but BMA has been so behind. Hasn't really been able to do so, and at this point, what do they have left besides doing what their team comp requires of them? Just siege down mid.
Well, gonna have to wait perhaps here as the Hellions are now looking to be back on the assault. Dragon did go over to Trident, so they'll have that lead as far as the game is concerned, but that's about all they can look at right now as the Hellions are going to go charging down back to the 1-3-1 they know and love and see if they can break this base open. Both teleports are up. Items are just flush at this point in the Hellion inventories.
So any opportunity that Trident just had is out the window because they went towards the Dragon, which isn't going to get them anything back into this game whatsoever. They should have cleared top, cleared bottom, and just grouped up in the other lane.
Well, instead, they're back to this somewhat awkward figure. Pac-Man again is going to fight the Kassadin, but Bomb is a lot stronger than last time. Pac-Man pretty tanky though, able to shake it off. As Ryu still working that top side. Hellions trio are being nice and safe here, which is what they need to do. But slowly but surely, this base is going to get pushed in from all 3 fronts.
It is getting pushed in. My concern again, looking at this Helion's team composition, is they've got a Lucian Graves in that middle lane. They can barely hit this turret if you want to look at what they're up against, and that is the wave clear of a Lux.
If you eat the Lux binding, you're probably going to die.
They're still running the risk here of being our team fought Helions. And that's why they're continuing the split. They're unrelenting in this split pushing this time. And all it takes is for one mistake from this Trident lineup, whether it's Edition dealing with Ryu, which is very difficult to do, or it's Pac-Man dealing with Bomb. All it takes is one, and the base is broken.
Well, Trident wave clear holding up for now. Baron buff wearing off as well. It does help them quite a bit. But we're sort of in a holding pattern at this point. Both teams know what they want to do. But with no major objectives up, no actually buffs at all. Just minor jungle camps available.
Yeah.
Could be here for a little while.
This holding pattern still favors Trident.
Yeah.
They're getting farm onto their carries. There's another 5 minutes of this, they'll have 3 items on all of their carries, and that one bind can win them the game.
Yep. We could see heroic bindings from Beamer in the second game. His Edition gonna eat damage. You can see when the Vitals show up in the right spots, Ryu can almost insta-kill somebody.
Yeah. Now Addition has to go back and potentially deal with this top lane after recalling. So a slight moment, a slight opportunity for Hellions.
Well, here's space for Hellions to try and get work done, though. They just need to break one section of the base, really. PMA, they're going to burn the ulti. Pac-Man going to zone them out. Even Cookie still getting chased down. Not able to really hit the turret much at all. Cookie's a little too far forward. That was aggressive. Does survive, though. Forced to burn the flash. Hellions just not quite closing the game out as cleanly as you might expect with a lead like this.
Which means right now, we're waiting on Bomb to get a Void Stuff. Above all else, he needs to be able to deal with this Malphite. And Pac-Man builds a Spirit Visage, just starts to push him back. And they're keeping it at bay. Hellions have not broken this base yet.
And that's important for Trident. Baron buff did not yield them any inhibitor turrets. And that means Trident, despite the massive deficit that they are still in, do have chances here in this game. Now able to move out of the base as well. Try and get a bit of vision down. Baron is back up. Blue buff is up for Bomb as well. These are all things that teams have to consider. It seems like we are going to move the fight out of the siege and into the Baron pit.
Yeah, of course, this is where you should find a complete advantage for Hellions. They've sent Ryu back to that bottom lane, so they're split pushing down there, much more effective. Danny in.
He's going to flash.
And here it begins. This is going to be that ARAM. They're now grouped up as 5, and unless Ryu can break the base, Trident are in a point of power. They're now grouped.
This is exactly how we saw the position we saw Trident win from last game. Although Ryu is going to cause some problems. The Culling's there, but Trident going to face tank a bunch of it, take a tower. What work can Ryu do there? Because Trident just took a tier 2, more than 10,000 gold down.
This is Ryu against the entire Trident team. Hellions are stopping recalls, so this could be and should be the inhibitor.
Well, this is what Hellions needed. They needed a way to break the base. Ryu does create that opportunity for them. He is going to get this inhib. And Baron is up. That's a good inhib to take with Baron being back up.
Yeah.
You can see the immediate pings from Hellions towards it. They know what's up.
And I mean, honestly, Trident broke their own base just there. These teleports, if they fight for this Baron, will be pivotal. You can't leave Ryu alone.
Bob goes in for it. He flashes onto Jakey. Ulti up from Graves as well. No kills withstanding, but Hellions playing insanely aggressive around that engage.
Yeah, I mean, look at the bottom side of their base. It's a Fiora and a Malphite just duking it out. If the Malphite at any moment thinks that he can teleport to help the team fight, which is very important, then Fiora will take the Nexus. This pressure that they're putting down is what's allowing the rest of Hellions to be super aggressive. No reason not to be this aggressive. They don't have to do the Baron yet.
No, they'll just go back and shop, spend their money. Got plenty of time with that inhib bottom lane gone for a few more minutes. And they know Trident can't really leave their base. So it looks like Deathcap actually on the way for Bomb. He has a needlessly large rod after that blasting one. So no Void Stuff just yet. Wants to be able to take out the carries, it looks like.
Yeah, which means Ryu is now the one that's going to be soul split pushing for the most part. Keeping in mind one inhibitor being down. They don't necessarily need Bomb to split like they did before. Unless, of course, they get the Baron and decide that they just want Ryu to end the game whilst he's top lane.
Oh, Ryu can take the Dragon while he's at it. No real challenge here from Trident. So Ryu will just take this one uncontested. As BMA actually pushing pretty far out in that top lane.
Yeah, still good vision, though, if you look at the river. He knows that no one's near him.
Good play there as Freight able to meet that minion wave. Dragon dies. And I don't think we'll be seeing Dragon 5 in this particular game, but you never know. As Hellions still playing themselves around this Baron. It really just is, despite the deficit, feels like it's one fight away.
It definitely does.
For either team.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The gold lead doesn't matter as much the later this game goes. Because really, they still have a Lux Malphite composition. The Ezreal was only really replaced by a Corki. That's the only major difference.
So Addition's not too upset. Corki does do plenty of damage. So as far as team fighting goes, he's good to go. And Trident, I know that Hellions want to do this Baron. Hellions have started it. Ryu's still bottom side. But Trident.
So was Addition, though.
Maybe move in here. Are they going to finish it? They are going to commit by the looks of things. Lux ulti this time goes again, but this time Cookie's able to take it. Impaired has to flash over the wall and Frey and Bomb will follow him. Denny and after the backline's already dead actually, but Bomb has chased down the Rek'Sai. Teleports are coming in. Cookie actually getting collapsed on as Ryu sort of caught out of position as well. Where did Hellions carries go? There they are as Cookie able to take out the Corki. Pac-Man now going to get chased down as Frey able to pick that up. BMA getting chased, a lunge will hit. Frey's here as well for the flank. He takes out Jakey. Beamer's going to die as well. Hellions get the Baron and the ace, and Bomb is busy cleaning house.
And Cookie just does not die on this Graves. A lot of emphasis from Impaired to pick it up. He goes for the Rek'Sai this time because Cookie takes it away, and now we know why. Trident put all of that effort towards it.
Bomb going to do a very stylish end of this game and almost an XPK, not really. But good looking play there from Hellions towards the end. They find the fight they need and they claim the game and the series 2-1 after a very, I'm going to say, grueling series of games, Rusty.
It was a slow start in every single game, time and again, but Hellions this time, they work out what they did wrong in game 2. They consolidate coming into this third game. They fix it in their drafting phase, and that's a better Hellions from game 3.
Certainly is, and with that, they will pick up the victory 2-1, so let's get a little bit more from that game from the analyst desk.
So much, guys. That was a 2-1 victory in the end for Hellions, but you have to say, as far as series go, this was probably the best we've seen out of Trident so far. So let's kick it off with these guys going with a similar game plan as they went in game 2, you know, looking to take it late, but a couple of hiccups in the early games.
I think one significant difference between game 2 and game 3 was Lux's summoner spells. We saw the Ignite for whatever reason, instead of the TP. You know, maybe he thought he had some sort of kill pressure or something, but, you know, last game you went down 50 CS. Are you really going to kill this guy? Just take the teleport.
Yeah, or take barrier or heal or exhaust or
anything else.
Yeah. Honestly, I just don't see it really working out. I mean, one thing I do want to say is that I predicted a Hellions victory, but I still got it wrong. I predicted that they'd manage to team fight instead, but instead they just go, all right, well, if one split push didn't work, let's do 2.
Yeah, so double split push happened in the end of the game, but I do want to bring it back to that mid lane because I feel like we learnt from this game that Beamer can live through lanes, but when put under extreme jungle pressure, and it very much was extreme, like Graves was in his lane multiple times, they burnt double flashes for him, that it was actually, to my surprise, Impaired that wasn't there with the Rek'Sai to help him out for the first couple of games.
Yeah, I mean, not sure what's going on tonight. I mean, he's clearly not having the best night. I have to say that Cookie was pretty impressive on that Graves. I think a large part of that was his build, which we'll touch on later. But yeah, look, great pressure early. It was a pity Lux almost got that first blood.
First blood.
And, you know, it might have been a very different game if that had happened. But yeah, look, Impaired was missing.
Because for a long time, you've played against probably the best team at concentrating mid lane with Swiffer and Spooks. Like, just speak us through how important it is to shadow your mid laner if they are going to come under that kind of fire and they want to push up aggressive in a lane.
Yeah, I mean, you need to know how to play with your team. And if you're Lux, you know, if BMA tells you in Champion Select, I'm taking Ignite, everyone is aware. Everyone knows what he wants to do. Just sit behind him. Do Wraiths, sit behind him. Do Wolves, sit behind him. We saw he pushed all the way up into that mid tower to get auto attacks under the tower. He's always going to get flanked. He's so vulnerable. Why aren't you there?
Yeah, it's just one of those things, guys, that when you look at it at that stage of the game, you know that level 4 has been reached, that the jungler has double buffs. You know how quickly Graves gets around the map, and it's one of those things that as a Rek'Sai, you need to be able to answer. So that 2v2 that we talked about all night long, like, is it going to go in Impaired's favor? Is it going to go in Bomb's favor? Turns out it probably went in Cookie's favor for game 3 at least, and the Korean jungler stepping up massive.
Certainly.
But in saying that, there was a large portion of this game that even though they were behind, it still looked like Trident were going to eventually pull back ahead. We've got a replay for you. It's in the top lane. Carbon, I want you to take us through this one because before this, everything kind of had set itself back up for another upset.
So there's two things I want to say just before this rolls, and that is Lux is very behind. If she was even or ahead, this would have been very different. The second thing is Cookie actually built Graves properly. Let's roll the clip. Okay, so we see a very nice pillar come out here and a huge Lux burst. If she was not behind, that's 2 kills. What we see next is Impaired tried to capitalize on that with the flash. Cookie gets low, but the Hex Drinker, the innate Graves tankiness, he just turns it straight away. Instantly kills the Corki, gets the dangerous game, and then we see the Kassadin clean up. Nothing they can do. I mean, this team has no engage. Trident gave them the only way they could start a team fight.
Yeah, it was one of those things that when you looked at it, it was we got rid of Ryu, we got rid of Cookie. They're the two big carries of the team. Let's not pay as much respect to the ultimate of Janna, the inherent tankiness of Graves, as you said. They get the reset in the fight, able to chase down and get another Baron.
Yeah, and I want to go back to what Carbon said there right at the beginning, is the fact that the Lux was so far behind. Because you saw the fact that Frey was able to pick up a kill towards the end there. They weren't able to solidify anything and still decided to go for the aggressive move underneath the turret without actually being able to pick off anything to begin with. At that stage, when you see that you don't get the burst, they successfully made it out. Why do you then dive underneath the turret and try to kill the Graves, which had all of that innate tankiness like we were just talking about? It's just not really understanding at what point of the game they were at and what position this mid laner was.
And I think also not understanding Graves.
Yeah, it certainly did appear that way throughout the series. One thing that we do have to give Hellions credit for is that this time around they stuck to their game plan. Seems to be a team that is maturing at least quicker than we had originally thought. We thought that after the first couple of weeks it was a team in trouble. This team now, do you think that they start eyeing off that 4th spot? It's been in flux. Every single person I asked, like some say Sin, some say Avant have got under the control. Is Hellions a team we now start talking about?
Look, I don't think yet. I think they have significantly more to prove. They've beaten Infernum. They've now beaten Trident, and I think those two guys are 8th and 7th on the ladder. So look, they're big. They're good confidence-boosting wins. This is a really good thing for Hellions, but I think it'll take a little bit longer before we start talking about that top 4 contention.
Yeah, but what I want to talk about is momentum here. And the fact that Hellions have managed to pick up these 2 back-to-back victories is really, really important for a team that's all living together. They're all scrimming together a lot here, living in the same house, making sure that they're all under the same roof. And when you've got a team that's trying to work together like this, having the mentality that you're actually able to pick up victories is so important going week to week. So I have a feeling this will actually benefit them a whole lot more than it would maybe another team.
Yeah, certainly not the cleanest win, but it was a win. So Hellions escaped 2-1 against Trident. But guys, don't go anywhere. Up next, it will be Avant against the Chief. 3 minutes. Don't touch that dial.